All right, diving into some seriously heavy stuff today. You sent us some research on AI
Oh, yeah.
and its potential role in, well, let's just say really bad things.
Hmm.
Nuclear, biological, and chemical weapons. This isn't just sci-fi anymore, is it?
Not at all. What's fascinating here is that we're not just talking about AI on the battlefield. We're talking about preventing it from ever getting there.
Right.
This Department.Technology article, it lays out a potential international treaty to essentially stop AI from being used in developing NBC weapons.
You mentioned NBC weapons. For our listener who might not be familiar, could you quickly break down what those are and why they're so uniquely dangerous?
Of course, NBC stands for nuclear, biological, and chemical. We're talking weapons of mass destruction, nuclear bombs, deadly viruses, nerve agents, the kind of things that can cause widespread devastation and have long-lasting effects.
Okay, heavy stuff.
Yeah,
And this article wants to keep AI far, far away from that.
absolutely. It outlines a proposed treaty with the goal of making sure AI is never involved in the creation or use of these weapons.
So it's not just about banning the weapons themselves. It's about preventing the technology from ever being developed. That's a whole new level of proactive thinking when it comes to arms control.
Yeah.
But how would that even work?
Well, the article dives into some specifics. Imagine an AI system running thousands of simulations to find the perfect antibody for a deadly virus, or designing a nuclear weapon with terrifying efficiency. That's the kind of research this treaty aims to prevent.
Hold on, AI could do that. Design a virus.
It's not about AI designing things on its own. Think of it like this. Imagine giving a supercomputer all the information we have about viruses and saying, okay, now find the deadliest combination possible.
Oh.
It's about using AI to accelerate research and development in really dangerous ways. That's what this treaty wants to stop.
Okay, that makes sense. Cutting it off at the source. What else does the article highlight?
It also proposes restrictions on buying or selling any AI systems that could be used with these weapons.
Yeah.
Basically trying to control access to this tech on a global scale.
So no online shopping for AI-powered anthrax bombs, I hope.
Exactly. The goal is to make it much harder for anyone, even rogue states or terrorist groups, to get their hands on this technology in the first place.
It's all starting to sound a little scary. Is this really a possibility? Are we even close to this level of AI development?
That's where things get really interesting and concerning. The article argues that the technology for these scenarios is closer than we might think, and that it's crucial to establish international agreements before it's too late.
So it's not just about stopping something that's already happening, it's about preventing something. We might not be able to control down the line.
Exactly. And this is where the article proposes a pretty radical idea, a whole new Department of Technology.
A whole new government department. That's huge. Tell me more about why that's necessary.
The article argues that the challenges and opportunities presented by AI are so significant that they need a dedicated branch of government.
Okay.
Just like we have the Department of Defense to handle military matters, this would be the Department of Technology, focused on navigating the rapidly evolving world of AI and ensuring it's used responsibly.
And this new department would be in charge of this international AI treaty.
Precisely. In fact, they would have a Secretary of Technology
Okay.
whose primary role would be to spearhead these international efforts to keep AI out of the wrong hands, so to speak.
So this Secretary of Technology would be doing a lot of global diplomacy, trying to convince everyone to get on board with this treaty.
Yes, it's a massive undertaking requiring international cooperation on a scale we haven't seen before. Which brings us to another key point of the article.
Which is?
Verification.
Verification.
How do you actually make sure countries are following the rules of this treaty? How do you prove that a country isn't secretly developing AI-powered bioweapons?
Yeah, it's not like you can just stroll into a top-secret lab and ask, what are you guys working on over here? Anything dangerous?
Exactly. It's a huge challenge. The article suggests things like international inspectors, AI experts who can examine code and systems for suspicious activity, that kind of thing. But even that has limitations.
So it's like trying to make sure no one's baking cookies in their house.
Hmm.
But you can't actually go inside and check. You just have to sniff the air and hope for the best.
That's a surprisingly accurate analogy. There's a lot of trust involved, and with something as potentially devastating as AI-powered NBC weapons, that trust is going to be hard-won.
Okay, so let's say, hypothetically, this treaty actually works. Everyone's on board. We figure out the whole verification thing. What kind of global impact are we talking about? Does this actually make the world safer?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Their article argues that, yes, this kind of treaty could be a game changer in terms of global security. Think about it. If we successfully prevent AI from being used in developing and deploying these incredibly dangerous weapons, we've essentially eliminated a whole category of threats.
It's like taking a giant eraser to the worst parts of our future.
Exactly, it would be a monumental shift. However, the article also acknowledges potential downsides.
Hmm. Like what?
Well, some experts argue that focusing solely on AI could distract from other more immediate threats.
So we're so busy worrying about AI taking over the world that we miss the more subtle, insidious dangers already in play.
Precisely. Others argue that this kind of treaty, while well-intentioned, could create a false sense of security.
So we think we're safe because of this agreement. But in reality, rogue actors are finding ways around it.
Exactly, and that's why the article stresses the importance of ongoing research, development, and vigilance. This isn't a one-and-done situation. It requires constant attention and adaptation.
It sounds like even with the best intentions, it's still a bit of a gamble. What's your take on all of this? Do you think this treaty is feasible? Is it even possible to control something as powerful and potentially unpredictable as AI on a global scale?
Honestly, it's one of the most complex challenges we face as a global community. There are no easy answers, but I do believe that international cooperation and proactive measures like this proposed treaty are essential first steps
First steps towards what?
towards a future where we're not constantly playing catch up with these powerful technologies, a future where we're not just reacting to the latest AI-driven crisis, but actively shaping the development and use of AI in a way that benefits all of humanity.
And that brings us back to this idea of a Secretary of Technology.
Absolutely. This position, if taken seriously and empowered by international cooperation, could be crucial in navigating the complex landscape of AI and global security.
It's a lot to process. But let's bring this home for our listener. This isn't just some theoretical debate happening in academic journals, right? This impacts all of us.
Absolutely. This isn't just about governments and armies. It's about the future we're creating.
So what does this actually mean for someone listening right now? This all seems so huge. How can one person even begin to wrap their head around it, let alone do something about it?
It's easy to feel overwhelmed, but the article ends on a hopeful note, emphasizing the power of individual action.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What can our listener do? They've listened to this deep dive. They're clearly interested in this topic. What's the next step?
Well, for starters, they can check out the full article on department.technology. We'll be sure to include a link in the show notes.
Always a good starting point.
From there, it's about diving deeper into the world of AI ethics and policy. There are incredible organizations out there like the Future of Life Institute that are doing crucial work on these issues.
So getting informed, connecting with organizations on the front lines. What else?
It's also about starting conversations, raising awareness, and demanding transparency from our leaders and from the tech companies developing these powerful technologies.
So it's about making our voices heard.
Yeah.
But what about those of us who aren't, tech geniuses or political masterminds? What can we really do to influence something as massive as global AI policy?
It starts with staying informed, like you are right now. The more you understand these technologies and the potential consequences, the better equipped you are to engage in these conversations and advocate for responsible AI development.
So even just talking about this stuff, sharing this episode with a friend, that's a step in the right direction.
Absolutely, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
The more people who are aware of these issues, the more pressure we can put on those in power to make responsible choices.
That's actually pretty empowering. This whole topic can feel incredibly daunting. But knowing that even just staying informed is a form of action, that's a good feeling.
It's about reclaiming a sense of agency. We're not just passive bystanders in this technological revolution. We have a voice and a role to play in shaping the future.
I like that, shaping the future. And that brings us to the final thought I wanted to leave our listener with. If this kind of international treaty is even being proposed, it really makes you wonder, what other uses of AI might need this kind of global attention? What are the potential risks should we be thinking about now before it's too late?
That's such an important question. We've been so focused on the military applications of AI, but what about its use in surveillance, in social manipulation, in autonomous weaponry that doesn't even involve NBCs? The possibilities are both exhilarating and, frankly, terrifying.
It's a lot to grapple with.
It is, but the future is not predetermined. It's being written right now, and every single one of us has a role to play in shaping it.
That's a powerful thought to end on. So to our listener, keep asking those tough questions, keep diving deep into these topics, and most importantly, stay engaged. The future of AI is up to all of us. Until next time.